Hi, welcome to Art in 30. My name is Denise Savard. Now, I've been doing watercolors for approximately 15 to 20 years. Prior to that, it was oils and acrylics. I first started really when I was about 13 years old, and I had the habit of drawing on my pillowcase. So my mother said she's not going to have that. So what she did is she gave me a couple of colors, and then coloring book, and then canvas, and then watercolors. Then gradually I started to paint a little bit more. Then we went to the Academy St. Charles in Winnipeg, and from there we had a sister that saw that I was drawing and painting, so she brought me upstairs and we did acrylics and oils. So now I've taken a lot of watercolor classes and oils and acrylics, and I've self-taught. So I've learned by doing many mistakes, and I've learned by different teachers. So now I am going to show you different techniques, and also kind of take away the scare out of watercolor. So we will start just with the different types of watercolor that you can use. You can use a palette like this. Don't worry, you can just go with a couple of colors. This is an accumulation of about 6 to 7 years. And we just add a little bit. A tube goes a long, long way. You can start with watercolors in a small container like this. It's called a little travel case. It's got a little brush. You can, if you don't want to go there, you can go into aquarelles, what it is called. It's just a watercolor, but it's a watercolor in a crayon form. And what you do with that, you dip it in water, or you color, and then you take your brush, dip it in water, and you will have the color. So this is very, very handy. There is also paperless watercolor. So this is just a sheet. So what you do is you take your brush, dip it in water, dip it in the color, put it on the paper. This is great if you're traveling and you just want to doodle. This is perfect. This is perfect. Then you have another kind of watercolor pencils. Now these are the pencils. Whoops! This is another area here. These are also watercolor pencils, and these are the same thing. You color just like a coloring book. Take a little brush, dip it in water, and paint over it, and you'll have, these are very vibrant colors. They're called intense. Then you have this kind, which is also a watercolor, and these are also the same thing. You color, and then water, and a brush, and that's it. So if you want to start with this and play around with different colors, or you take watercolors, you can go anywhere at the studio or at any art store and get a basic color, red, yellow, and blue. You can get brown, you can get all the colors that you want and put it together, as long as you have the primary colors. You have to have a roll of tissue. You have to have also masking tape. You can have green or the blue one. You can have 1/2 inch or 1 inch. you have to have water containers. You have water containers. I have two here. So one is for the dirty wash, like you rinse your brush, and this one is your good water, so you don't contaminate your colors. Then you have a plexiglass that's at least 18 by 24. It has to be at least 2 inches wider and taller than your normal paper. What I'll be doing is I will be showing you different techniques on watercolor paper. Now this watercolor paper is 140-pound watercolor paper, which will not buckle. If you get cheaper watercolor paper, you will have a problem. It will buckle, it'll do a well, your water will stick in there, and you will be so disappointed and frustrated you might not ever want to do watercolor again. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to put the tape, which is just a masking tape, which is this yellow one, green one. So I will put the tape on now, and you put it 1/4 of an inch inside. So I will do it now. Now you put it 1/4 of an inch, and you make sure that it's tight, because you do not want to have water going in between, and you do it on all sides like this. Just take 1/4 of an inch. You will see through the tape. And then you just remove that, and then you do the same thing over here. So now you have a nice edge. With this, what is nice about this is you can take it off and reposition it. So there we go. So there we go. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how you can do plain circles. And we will doing a circle in water, and then we'll dip our paint, our brush in the paint, and then just lightly touch on one side, clean the brush, take another paint, touch the side, and then clean the brush. You will see the paint gradually build in the center, and that there'll just be blending on both sides. So we'll get started. You dip it in water, and I do a little puddle. You do a little puddle water on the side here, and you take your color, and you kind of do a puddle. I call these puddles. So what you do this for is that you want to have it ready. It's just like cooking. When you bake or you cook, you cut your carrots. It's called mise en place. So you cut your carrots and your onions, and you have everything prepared before you start. So this way you will not run out of paint when you need it. I just put kind of a yellow, and then let's give it a nice red. We'll do a puddle in red. There we go. We'll do a puddle in red. So you see I have 2 puddles already. So what you do here, this is my dirty wash, and this is my clean wash. So you do a circle. I'll do a circle like this. I'll just do a circle. I know you can't see it, but I'll show you the shine. If you can see a shine, that means the water is activating the paper. And if it's kind of dull, then there's no more water and you have to add more water to it. Just dip it, take the excess water off, and then go back into your circle. It's like just wet on wet. Now you let it sit just for a little while. I go into my yellow, and you can see I touch it here. And then go back and take my red and go around. And you will see it's just, what is good about watercolor is don't be afraid to just move it around. You move it around and you will see one color is blending gradually into the other. It's kind of mixing it up. And then if you want it to stop, you put it straight and it won't move anymore. But if you keep it like this, it'll just keep on going. And then you will, I'm not sure if you can see the shine, you still have enough water on there to put another layer. So you don't go back in there with water, because if you do, it'll dissolve the color. So you take your clean water, take some of the water off and go back into it, and you can do it again. Just do it again and let it go down. And it gradually, it will go down. So you can see the progression of where the light, and then that's how you go. So if you're not sure when you're putting your wet on, just draw a tiny circle or a square with your pencil, and then you can always erase it after. So the next project that I can do for you, I will show you how to do, it's lifting, kind of lifting. So basically, we'll start on this little corner over here. So here we go. Wash your brush, clean it out, and clean it really good. And then I will go to my darkest blue. Darkest blue would be way over here. You can just mix it like this. Take your darkest blue and make a nice juicy, juicy puddle. There we go. So you can see that it's just kind of just about dripping. It looks like cream, that type of consistency. I'm French, so I've got a very hard time in trying to say the right words. So please forgive my English. And so I will take this puddle and do this. You just make like this, just a square. And be generous, just go back and forth and back and forth. And this, you can call it a sky. Let's do a sky. We can do the sky, a really dark sky, and this can be just snow or water. We'll do that. Then you take a cork, wrap it in tissue till this is flat. You put it while it's still wet. You press it, and there you go. You have kind of a moon. Then you can take, then what you do is you just let that dry, and then you can take a little bit of the same color, and you just touch. You just touch it, and you will have the different ripples. So you can kind of going over the edge here. But you can just water it down, water it down. Let it dry a little bit. This is where the blow dryer comes in. You just let it dry. And to see if it's dry, what you do is you take the back of your hand and you press on it, and if it's cool, whoops, it is, it's wet. It's not dry yet. So you just wait till it dries. You see here, you go like this. If it's cool to the touch, it's not dry yet. We'll touch over here. It's not cool, it's dry. So now you have to let this go, because if you paint this, it's going to be all mushy. So over here, you can go in if you want, and have the brush has just a little dot in it. The water is gradually falling down. It's when you take the water off, you can dot it here. You will see the water is repelling. You can make this as huge snowflakes if you want. It's just a different technique. The water separates your paint, and you'll see all of these little, it looks like huge snowflakes, really. And that can be another effect for your background. You can do the same thing with this, as long as your background is dark and lightly wet. You can spray, with, I'll do it again. You can spray water. You can do, this is called wet on wet. It'll just, you go wet on wet. So you go back in, you go back in again, and there we go. So once you, and you always you never leave your brushes in the water, because your brushes are they're quite expensive. You have to get a good one, and when you get a good one, you put it in water, and if it comes to a point, it's a good brush. If the brush, you go like this, it doesn't come into a point, it's a cheap brush. And there's a lot of cheap brushes out there. So you do that. Now I take, this is just a little dollar store hairspray that I don't have it anymore. There's no hairspray in there, and you just put water in there and you spray, and there it is. You get snowflakes, you get completely different from here. So here you can take a dry brush, you can go up, you can do a whole bunch of things on top of it. And it'll just, there you go. You can do the same thing with this. Take your corkscrew. Is that what? No, cork, not corkscrew, cork. And you do this, and there it is. You can take this, turn it around, just wrinkle, 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 wrinkle. You get a different effect. You can use that as clouds. You can use it as waves in water. You experiment, and the more you experiment with different colors and different techniques, you can go quite far, because you can add now kind of hills. You can add trees to it. So you can just play around. And with watercolor, you just let go. You play around, you wait, you stand back, you look what your painting looks like. You don't go in there and try to, oh no, I don't like that color, and you go like this. The more you do that, the more you mess it all up. So once it's dry, then you can go in and do another of the same color on top of it. So that is some of the techniques that I am showing you now. So you can practice on this and just have fun. I hope you've enjoyed these watercolor techniques. My name is Denise Savard with Art N30.